Yo people, welcome back to another review. This time it's Daredevil Born Again episode 3. Now this episode had a really weird ending which we'll talk about shortly, but it's doing a lot of throwing people off and a lot of it has to do with Kingpin. There was no action scenes in this episode, so I know people will get triggered and say that this episode was garbage just because they had no action, but I personally liked that this episode just stuck to one court case, and it does a lot for the episode and for the world building in terms of how they can connect the plots, how they push the plots. In other Disney Plus shows, this episode would have just been straight up filler, like the stuff that we see in She-Hulk. But this time, the court cases actually mean something. So the main point of this episode was Hector Ayala's court case and proving him innocent for a murder that he's falsely accused of. What I liked about this court case was that it actually felt important and we were actually doing stuff with all these characters. We see how corrupt the police are through backstories of witnesses and just seeing how they interact amongst each other. We got the backstory for the White Tiger, at least some information, and overall we see why Matt Murdock is an elite lawyer and actually see him being a good lawyer instead of just being told that he's a good lawyer. Also, I think getting his enhanced hearing in these scenes works for his character, and it's a cool little detail. I think as soon as Daredevil gave away that Hector Ayala was the White Tiger, I had a feeling that the police and the head of this whole corrupt operation were gonna go after him when he was free, and that's exactly what happened at the end of the episode. The Latino representation gets dunked on as usual, but either way, I had a feeling all along that he would die because the only White Tiger I remember ever seeing was a female, and Disney never gender swaps when it's female to male, so his death leaves the door wide open for his niece or whoever to take over when she's older, therefore getting us the female White Tiger. As for the killer, it looked like it was the Punisher. The big skeleton logo on his chest. We saw in the court case as well that there was a corrupt officer who had the same skeleton logo tattoo on his neck. The episode before that, we saw some corrupt officers again have the skeleton logo tattooed on them. Now straight away, I don't think this is Frank Castle, and if it is, then they best have a great explanation, because what they want you to believe is that the Punisher was responsible for killing the White Tiger, and he seems to have this cult following that has infiltrated the police, and they seem to be working for Kingpin. Now that just doesn't make sense. As much as they want us to put two and two together, I don't buy that the Punisher has anything to do with this death. The reason I say that Kingpin allegedly, what they want us to think, is working with the Kingpin is because when the Kingpin had his monologue at the end, it implied that he sent the killer to eliminate the White Tiger. What they want us to think is that there's a sort of hierarchy with Kingpin being at the top. He sends the Punisher has his cult following that is infiltrating the police force, and I just don't believe that the Punisher is behind any of the corrupt officers or that he himself, as Frank Castle, is even connected to the death of White Tiger. Now, we saw the Kingpin doing the whole, Vanessa, I'm above dealing with gangs, and all that shit, blah blah blah, all of that, I don't do that anymore, that's my past life, all of that. And it looks like she's ignoring him and taking over the operations behind his back as their relationship and their whole trust goes downhill. Kingpin is clearly trying to control the city, and right now his main concern is trying to eliminate any vigilantes, which is why he got the White Tiger killed off. Also in episode 2, we saw him warn Matt Murdock not to return as the Daredevil, and he's probably doing the corrupt officer's Punisher thing to bait the real Punisher into coming out of the shadows and then trying to kill him or frame him for all these corrupt officers. But essentially this all leads to Spider-Man 4, where we should be seeing a Spider-Man and Kingpin face-off. As for Vanessa and Kingpin, I think she will get herself killed doing all these operations, or she will betray Kingpin, and because it's Disney Plus, I think she will betray him, as we've seen signs such as her taking charge of the whole gang crime thing behind his back. I think based on how this episode ends, Daredevil will have to start doing detective work where all roads lead to him having to return as Daredevil and face the Kingpin, as he is on this plot to uncover Kingpin's corruption, his manipulation on the city of New York, starting with the police officers. I still think there are many twists and turns to go, but so far it's not been a bad show at all, but never say never with Disney Plus. But yeah, what did you make of episode 3? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Leave a like on the video as well, and I'd appreciate if you could sub to the channel as we close in on 1K subscribers. Thank you for your time.